listening to the Germs after listening to Monster City Freaks, MonsterCityFreeks. Monster City Freaks. Go check them out on YouTube. Amazing German rap. I love their music. But I was listening to the Germs after that, and I noticed something. I started this. My brain started thinking. I started getting this like really strange thought on: is ICP overrated, underrated? No. As a matter of fact, I think that Psychopathic Records in its entirety is narrow-minded. Now let me explain that for a minute. They have all rap artists. They had Zug Island for a little while, but Zug Island was emotional and very depressing, and it made you want to like kind of hang yourself a little bit. You live alone, you die alone, and it just goes on with music like that. It's very depressing music. But in Zug Island, they sing about Shangri-La on their CD 333. I forget the track. I haven't listened to Zug Island in about 7-8 years. 333, they talk about Shangri-La. Even in Abomination, Shaggy, in my opinion, fucked up the song when he talked about the Dark Carnival. Because that's not what Twisted's even singing about. It's got nothing to do with Abominations. But for some reason, Violent J, Shaggy 2 Dope, Anybody Killer, Blazy Dead Homie weren't just pandering to the fans, but they were pandering to the label. They were sitting there kissing ass, talking about the Dark Carnival, talking about this, talking about that. It's always about the Juggalos, which is great. We got our own thing, but you sit there and, you're like, well, we're underrated. No, we're narrow-minded, just like the majority is. I wish I'd have thought of this yesterday, but it clicked. If Psychopathic Records really wanted to expand its audience and people didn't want to hate us as much, because we talk about some of the most fucked up things in the music, Shangri-La, the Dark Carnival, the Wraith, Malenko, Ringmaster, Jekyll Brothers, Carnival of Carnage, Ringmaster, Bang Pow Boom, Mighty Death Pop, and just some of the weirdest shit you'd hear if you really think about it. From somebody who's never listened to that music, you listen and you're kind of like, yeah, it's a bit hard to listen to at first. It's got to kind of like grow on you. And not everything that grows on you is a good thing, right? Anyone ever have a wart or a pimple or whatever? Yeah, not good stuff, right? So you're sitting there and you're pandering to one group of people, and your rappers, your music artists are pandering to them, but also to the label. How do you stop something like this? Well, I got a good idea. In order to expand, in order to make us not look so fucked in the head, you put in something like Zug Island, but not as depressing. Put in punk rock bands, sign punk rock bands, sign up some metal bands. Try and do something like that. I mean, Slash and Steve Jones, who were on Malenko, they didn't even want it to be known that they were on the project because of their reputation. Yeah, come on now. If we were able to make Psychopathic Records expand rather than it fail and die out and fade away after ICP's gone and Blaze is gone and ABK's gone, these guys aren't going to live forever. If you want something to live on, you do exactly what they did in the punk movement. And that is set up a message, set down the groundwork, and make it so that way other bands can come forth. Otherwise, we're going to have bands who are picking up the mic, who are sitting there cheering on this music, and they're going to be doing the same thing that ICP was doing, the same thing that Twisted, Blaze, ABK, DJ Clay, Mikey Clark, which Mikey Clark is really talented with some of his laser work. I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. But now they've got Skrillex. So he's kind of like, the underground, low budget compared to Skrillex. I've seen Skrillex shows. It's phenomenal. And it doesn't touch Mikey Clark, but Mikey Clark also does not touch Skrillex. They got their own taste. They've got their own volume. They've got their own chemistry, their own works that make it what it is. Well, you can define Skrillex from where you can define Mikey Clark. So get punk bands, get metal bands, and try and get them up on stage. But the problem is, now that the groundwork's already been covered with Psychopathic Records, say a punk band signs on to Psychopathic, you're going to hear a bunch of people go, that ain't wicked, that ain't wicked. Like there was this one guy sitting there saying that about Cole 187 and then this other guy, I forget who it was. But when he talked about, that shit ain't wicked, that shit ain't wicked, I'm like, dude, you are the crazy Bob I've been talking about. When the music video, It's All Over came out, people were like, that's not wicked, that's not this, and it was all over the forum page, it was all over the comments. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, are you shitting me? I thought that was an awesome song because it stepped away from that for a little bit. I didn't hear about Shangri-La or the Echo Side or a Joker's Card. It kind of gets a little old when I'm sitting there listening to Twisted and all of a sudden they mention the Dark Carnival. No, come on, guys. That's been way overdone, way overplayed, and then people don't want to change their minds on that. It's a form of mind control, music is. You sit there and you listen to this kind of music, and it's almost like you can profile somebody from the music they listen to. You know, you listen to DMX, you must be this and that. If you listen to this person, you can be this, which is what the FBI is using to signify and to justify making us gang members. Because of our mentality, because of our music. Maybe it's not the way it's done. Maybe it's something that somebody else is seeing, but because we're in the middle of it, we're not seeing it. So if we could expand Psychopathic Records, make branches like they did with Hatchet House, if we could do a branch where, you know, it's underground punk rock, and people start digging in through there, and they start listening to the punk rock bands, if they start listening to the metal bands, this would be phenomenal. And Psychopathic Records would gain many more fans. And not even just Psychopathic Records, things that, you know, you'd start hearing, you know, I don't dig ICP, I don't dig Blaze, but I like, you know, Down Syndrome, or whoever they decide to sign on for a punk band. You know, no, I really like this band. Or if we could get another band that, you know, left one label. If you listen to the Dropkick Murphys, if you listen to Rancid, they don't ever talk about their label. But you listen to Tech Nine and you listen to the artists from Psychopathic Records, it's always about the Hatchet. It's always about Psychopathic Records. It's always about the Juggalos. And with Tech, it's technicians. It's what you're doing is you're taking a whole group of people and you're chunking it down and you're shrinking it down to size. Which is why I am proud to announce that Hatchet's Wicked Shack will not be just signing rap artists. We will be signing many other artists, sending demos, things like that, and we will work on something. We will do this. We will do it the same way they did it with the Punks Unite leaders of today. They had 6, 7, 8 different labels on this album because that's where all the artists came from, and they cooperated and did this various artists album. 32 songs, 32 bands. Epic CD. If we could somehow do something like this, which is why I want to do this for everybody. I don't want this just to be about the Juggalos and the Juggalettes anymore, because that hasn't worked. This is not working. This is not where we want to go. Test Dummy 22 wanted us to do things, you know, kill them with kindness, do this and that. Well, first we got to get rid of the reputation that we've got. We got to give people a whole new picture of what they see, instead of it just being the Dark Carnival, instead of it just being the same old, same old. Mighty Death Pup was a little different than in Bang Pow Boom, and those two albums altogether were different than the first 6. If you listen to it, it's kind of like a storybook. Every album has a similar beat, has a similar thing where you listen to it and you can identify that song with that album. And as time goes on, Bang Pow Boom switches up a little bit, but when you hear the music, you can automatically tell it's Bang Pow Boom. You know, it's got its certain flavor, it's got its certain technique, it's got its certain wave, it's got its certain beats. It's got a groundwork laid down under Bang Pow Boom. You listen to Mighty Death Pup and you just get that coloration, the same flow, the same thing that tells you this song is from Mighty Death Pup. You don't have to have the knowledge of what tracks are on what album, but you listen to it, switch around your shuffle a little bit. If you got an iPod shuffle, if you've got an iPod, mix it around. And if you hear it, you'll automatically tell. And if you have somebody else listen to it, they could even probably tell you that it's from 2 different albums. Because, you know, they listen to it and something like, okay, yeah, this is definitely like one album. This song doesn't sound like it goes with the rest of these. It's a grouping. And that's also a form of narrow focus. You need to expand. You need to come up with surprises. You need to come up with something new. You need to shake things up a bit. And controversy is what makes money. So if you take those 2 marketing techniques, controversy, and you expand, and what I mean expand, I mean you sit there and you switch things up a bit. You change it up. You shake it up. And you put in a new blend with it. You're making the same batch of food ridiculously. But if you were to put in something different, somebody could taste it automatically. You're sitting there tasting the same vanilla cake, right? And then you make a cake that's all of a sudden got cinnamon in it. That cinnamon is going to kick up the flavor, and someone's going to be able to pick up on it real quick. But if you were able to put in a whole new batch of something and work up towards a whole new thing, people are going to go, it's fucking beautiful. It's amazing. It's not like the rest of these plain vanilla cakes. It's this kind. If you look at what the Germs did, if you look at what Anti-Flag, Bad Brains, Gangrene, Flipper, even bands like the Casualties, and they all have their different flavors, and they came out with Warped Tour. Unfortunately, Warped Tour got raped by the whole emo thing, which I don't care for. And Zug Island, I could easily place in a comfy pillow right in with the whole emo bed. And that's exactly what I've done. I will not listen to Zug Island because I know their music is way too emo. You know, it's depressing. Like, some emos actually get some beat to it. But Zug Island's got the same all the way through. And it's horrible. It's god-awful, and I just do not like it. And I'm sure a lot of people out there have listened to Zug Island and went, God, that's really, really upsetting and sad. But then they sing about Shangri-La. And that's what makes it Psychopathic Records. That's what makes it under that label. It's pandering to that label. Anybody Killer, his first album, he did off of the movie Warriors, which I really kind of liked. I liked that. But if you listen to the lyrics for his first album, he was really hyped up. If you listen to, you know, I don't even want to do this, but he asked me to, and I'm scared of his pistol whips. He's sick, and the hatchet's hatchery, but I just happen to be the master of bitch slappery. Yeah, I mean, they were pandering to ABK. ABK pandering to the Juggalos because he was new in it. So of course he's like the new kid on the block who's trying to fit in. That's human mentality. That's a custom thing that we have. That's enabled in our minds. This is something that we all have. We all have that feeling of belonging. Some of us overcompensate. Some of us pander, which are awesome marketing skills. They use that. You know, you smell bad, get Axe. You know, you've got pimples, get this. And they always have that guy who's kind of like, you know, kind of like nerdy, slouch, looking like this. And then they've got the girl who walks up like, hey, handsome, because he's wearing Axe. You could almost go as far as saying it's false advertisement, but that's what they do. But if they were to switch it up a little bit, you know, they'd be afraid. They're afraid of change because it's working. It's working. It's worked. It's worked. But if you think of a mouse, he goes the same route to find a cheese, right? And finally, a cheese is gone. So he's like, what the fuck? Now I'm gonna starve. But this other mouse, he's clever. He finds the cheese in all sorts of places. So we still got a little bit everywhere. So he does not go without, and the other mouse dies. It's actually a book. Find the Cheese, something like that. It's a good book. It's actually about surviving skills. It's about marketing. It's about business. It's about what you should do. It's awesome. I'd say pick it up. It's a short read. It's about like 130 pages, maybe even less than that. But it's a good book. Check it out, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to go, yeah, that fucking makes sense. And I'm not even talking about just that reference, but this whole video. This whole video talking about change and development and revamping and being innovative with what you've got and what is out there that you haven't even gone out there to explore yet. Psychopathic Records, I think they haven't even thought about doing, you know, with all these bands. Head PE would have been an awesome addition to Psychopathic Records. It'd have been awesome for Head PE because that would have expanded so much. That would have helped them so much. So, am I glad Twisted left? Absolutely, because now they're going to go and do this, and I hope to God they do, and they get what was done right against what Psychopathic Records has done wrong. And if Twisted can somehow develop this, and this was a plan of action that was stated between Psychopathic Records and all its artists and the president and all that, and what Twisted wants to do, and they're like, look, listen, let us do this. Let us go out and do the footwork. Let us go out and we'll do the groundwork, and we'll go develop this. We will go work on that. And then they might just come back in with a platoon of like 6, 7 bands, 2 new rap artists, maybe even a pop singer or like a female lead singer. You don't see those anymore. You know, Tally Demon, Miss Kisa. Those would be great voices even for a punk rock band if we could find somebody with that kind of talent. There's a group on Chevette. They're on Hellcat, I think, unless they switched labels. But last I checked, they were on Hellcat. As a matter of fact, they were on the same label with the Dropkick Murphys, and they redid Dirty Glass with the lead singer of Chevette, which I thought was better than the other one with Stephanie Doherty. But Stephanie Doherty and the lead singer Chevette, they also have their own 2 things. You know, she's got that grunge, old school, hardcore voice, Stephanie Doherty. And then you listen to the girl from Chevette, and she's kind of got that like that new wave, kind of like pop voice. But her punk band and her guitar riffs and the drums are phenomenal. I love Chevette. And if we could blend this, what Hellcat's done, and things like that, and I recommend this for other labels too. You know, if you're a punk label like Hellcat, get some rappers up there and stuff like that. You know, make a melding pot. Somebody's got to do this. This is an ore that has not been dove into yet. No one has found this ore. But Hatchet's Wicked Shack wants to give it a try. Since we're still growing, we have no funds. We have very little of this and very little of that. We want to make a melding pot. We want to make an eclectic label under Hatchet's Wicked Shack its own portion where the artists can do whatever, kind of like what they did at the CBGB and OMFUG. We want this. A lot of people would actually explore, you know, it'd be like a Warped Tour. Constantly. This label would be a constant Warped Tour. It's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that, and people can actually feel around and taste a little bit. Like animals, you know, I like this and I don't like that, and you know, you're the crow that just picks out the fucking, you know, seeds or whatever. And then this person's got its own taste. And it's something that I think that if we pull this off and did it right, it would not only be a way of saying, you know, we aren't the people you thought we were. We want more. We appreciate what each and every band does. Because I know that there's a bunch of you out there, at least 95% of you out there, that don't just listen to Psychopathic records. You're metalheads. You're punk rockers. You might even listen to some of the new music, some of the mainstream music. You guys might listen to Busta Rhymes, some of you. I know I like Busta Rhymes. What I consider him mainstream, we'll talk about that at another point. I'm not discussing what's mainstream, what's not. I'm talking about what's going to work and what people want to see and what I want to experiment and test new waters with. And that is what I want to see, and that is what I will develop. Punk bands, metal bands, pop singers, I don't care. Put it in a melding pot. See what works. And if a lot of people are going out and seeing these shows, maybe, just maybe, the whole thing that happened with Tila Tequila at the other gathering may not be forgotten, but it will be forgiven. I was not there to personally throw the Faygo bottles, and if I had been there, I'd have stopped the mess. I'd have been up there trying to help out Tila Tequila, because that was bullshit, and we all know it. Otherwise, it's a hypocrisy. No. Chris Brown hit Rihanna. But it's okay. We beat the shit. And I mean like a fucking group of us beat the shit out of Tila Tequila with foreign objects. That makes no sense whatsoever, and that's not okay. And we all know it. Somewhere deep inside, unless you're a soulless prick, you need your ass whooped. But that is not okay. And we know this. We've grown up, you don't hit a woman. So we're just going to go ahead and beat her with Faygo balls, and it's at a show, so it's okay. Come on, guys. That is very simple thinking. That is wrong. Immoral. I don't like wrong or immoral. But I want to do something that'll expand. Something that, because if you look at what Psychopathic Records has done, they've got JCW, they've got their label, but it's all focused around the same thing. And the Hatchet Man is a very key point in that. Strange music, they've got their little thing, but I've never seen Dropkick Murphys out there with jewelry. Punk rock bands aren't usually a fan of jewelry anyways. It's a sign of riches, and it's a sign of money. And that's not what punk is about. And punk is established that way all throughout. You know, I got into this argument with this one guy. He was a metalhead. You know, punk rock sucks. It's 3 chords, 6 strings. What about the Dropkick Murphys? Yeah, they're awesome. Why are they punk rock? Right. Okay. Let's move on. Why hasn't Psychopathic Records done this yet? Why have they done something starting like this? When they were young and they were still growing, this would have been epic. This would have been something they could have had and held. But Hatchet's House was all horrorcore. The mainstream Psychopathic, and when I mean mainstream, I mean the main guys up on stage, the guys who we all know, because that would be mainstream compared to what's underground, correct? These guys may not be surfaced to the top yet, but Hatchet's House was definitely underground compared to what Psychopathic Records is. And yeah, even though it was a branch of Psychopathic Records, they were still down here. You didn't see much of them open up for these guys. Why hasn't anyone done this yet? Why hasn't anyone thought about this yet? Why haven't I thought about this until today? So now that I've stumbled across this, I'm going to do something with it. You must think and then act. You got... I'm going to plan this out as carefully as I possibly can. No one's got money. The economy sucks right now. Which is the perfect time for music. What do you think was going on in England? When the Sex Pistols started up, their economy was 10 times worse than ours right now. And that's when punk rock was a big thing, because no one gave 2 fucks. And that's what's going on now. Right now, music is what's going to help cope, and it's what survived. The Great Depression, and so on. The blues, punk rock, when the economy is bad, and things are bad, and there's tragedy happening. What happened after September 11th? 6,000 plus started singing about September 11th. What happened after these accidents and these terrorist acts? People start doing songs on it. Punk rock rises up, you know, against war and things like that when it's times that are tough. This is where music is unbreachable. No one can take that away. And if the FBI wants to get involved in that, then the FBI has to put up a fight against each and every one of us. Because if they're going to do that to the Juggalos and make us out, yeah, we are gang members. No, 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 no. Blend it, mix it up, and do something that these people over here and these people over here would appreciate. That way the FBI has no right to bitch. They can go away and go fuck up someone else's investigation. Meanwhile, we're here building up a conglomerate, a huge, massive melding pot of everything from punk to rock to metal to hard rock to alternative, maybe even a little bit of pop. And if you put it all together during times like this, when times are hard and the economy sucks, then maybe, just maybe, we will get somewhere. And we're not going to look like the bad guys. If it's made by the family, for the family, that's great. That's awesome. I like that mentality. That's an ours thing. But let's give what we've got and what we're feeling and what this music has done for us, and let's give it to another generation. Let's give it to another group of people who don't have that, who have never, ever experienced something like this ever before. I cannot think of a time except when rap branched from punk and then went from there. But they never really did shows together. I mean, you know, you look at Jay-Z and Linkin Park and people really didn't like that stuff, but you don't have to mix it up. I mean, you could do like a huge thing like they do with the Cypher songs, Cypher 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many they've got. You could do that with punk, you could do that with the rap artists, and you can get up there and do it together as one big group thing for after the show. And then like the Murphys do, have them storm the stage, you know, skin on the MBTA, and everyone hauls ass onto that stage, and they're singing with the best bands and the best artists. And everyone gets their own little bit, do it like a fucking 20-minute song. Yeah, this would be excellent, this would be extreme. Even if you did different songs for each and every show, that would make it more personal, where people would want to go to these shows and then release each and every different one onto one album, or however many you want to, instead of coming out with like, you know, 3 different CDs with 3 different special things. Do something a little different. This is what I'm talking about. We've seen it. Bang, pow, boom. Oh my god, that is awesome. But then we saw it with Medicine Bag. And then we saw it with the Mighty Death Pup. It's getting old, right? I'm sick of seeing that shit. I'm no longer excited. Because I'm an American, I'm a human being, and my attention span is about this. Which is probably why a lot of you guys don't even finish these videos. So I'm trying to keep this guys energetic for you guys to go, fuck yeah, I got a guitar, I'm going to go downstairs, I'm going to jam out right now. And I'm going to get people together, and I'm going to do this. We should do our own punk band. We should start our own rap music. This guy who wants to be a rapper, dude, go fucking do it. Go do it. Make your own studio. Get a closet all set up and make that in your own little studio. Get a mic. Do whatever it is you can. Find people who can do beats. Find people who want to do beats. And expand it. The economy is bad right now, so take advantage of it. I'm telling you, you won't be sorry. Right now, music is the only thing that we've got. And if you can perform your own music, that is the cheapest, most inexpensive way to do it. And if you're not an artist, but you want to be part of this, do your own magazine. Do your own news articles. Do your own whatever. And be part of this. Start a movement. Start doing it this way. And if anyone tries to stop you and saying, no, this is not going to work, you tell them, fuck you. What else are you going to go do? You're going to go work your 9 to 5 making minimum wage, hoping to God you've got the ability to pay rent by the end of the month? No. Enjoy this. Taste what's out there. Enjoy it. The fruit of life is now right here. When the economy is bad and you've got nothing to lose, fucking go for it. Get up. Go play your guitar downstairs. Write a new song. Go do all these things, because when all this is said and done, something is going to come out of this. It always has. The Sex Pistols have proven that. The hardcore movement has proven that. The 1996 movement has proven that. And that is when Warped Tour came out and about. Things have come out of things like this. Just a simple idea. Just a simple you spring in a guitar, go outside, make some money. You know, go stand in the street corner, you know, play your guitar. I know it's beautiful out there in California and in Texas and in Florida. You guys could do amazing with this. But you're starting to see it fade away. In New York City, you don't see bands at the corner of the streets anymore. We need to bring this back because the economy sucks right now. Things aren't going well for a whole lot of people. People are going through their own personal things, their own personal lives. And we're sorry for that. Everyone feels bad for you. When they hear that kind of story, they feel bad. That's called human emotion. When there's something going on, you talk to somebody, they feel bad for you. They may not be able to empathize, but they'll sympathize. If you don't know the difference between those 2 words, I recommend you go look it up. But we need to do this. This right now, this is the perfect timing to be doing something like this. And who knows, maybe something will spark. More labels will pop up. More money will be pushed out, and there'll be more artists, and there's going to be none of that, you know, I want to be signed one day. No. You go out and do this, put in a little bit of effort, maybe contact some people, throw out some demos, have people listen to this here, listen to this, check out that. It's inexpensive. There's still funds that need to be made, but try and do exactly what you can to try and make this work. Because if this works, we will never forget this. I'm out. Peace.